Electricity is the lifeblood of the economy. It's the lifeblood for the people of New England.
Every consumer of electricity in New England is affected by how we run the grid, and we factor everyone into how we operate the grid. The ISO is the independent system operator for the New England electricity grid and wholesale markets. We run the grid minute to minute and hour to hour. We run the wholesale electricity markets 24 hours a day, generating prices every 5 minutes. We plan the grid. We plan interconnections of generators and new transmission lines.
We are independent. ISO New England doesn't dictate the types of fuel that are used. We are fuel neutral.
We need to be the neutral entity that runs the grid and runs the markets in a fair and unbiased way.
The delivery system includes over 350 generating stations. We have over 9,000 miles of high voltage transmission lines.
The control room acts like an air traffic controller. It really is the nerve center of the power system in the 6-state New England region.
Every time you turn on your lights at home, it adds a little bit of demand to the electric grid. In aggregate, across all the people in New England, totals up to the amount of electricity that we as the ISO need to provide generation for.
We're constantly balancing that supply and demand. We need to make sure New Englanders have the electricity they need on the hottest summer days and the coldest winter nights and every day in between. And the ISO needs to be ready for any type of system emergency. But the grid is changing, and ISO New England is seeing big changes in how we operate the system.
If you look back 20 years, 40% of our energy was coming from coal and oil, and now we're using natural gas for about 50% of the energy.
When we look at what our markets have brought forward, they brought forward natural gas generation, primarily because that's the lowest cost, easiest to site and build resource.
This shift to running highly efficient natural gas power plants, along with expanding the region's transmission system, has resulted in lower costs and cleaner air, but it has also brought challenges.
The gas system was predominantly built to serve the heating needs of local customers. Heating needs get solved first. What's left over goes to the electric generator.
And on the coldest winter days, we can have natural gas-fired units not have enough natural gas to operate the system. And on those days, we have to switch to alternative sources of fuel like coal and oil.
Running the grid will continue to be challenging, especially as more coal and oil units retire and as we add more and more renewable energy to the system. Natural gas will be the bridge that gets us to the future of more widespread renewable energy like wind and solar, along with energy storage.
In New England, the states are taking a very active role in public policy to combat climate change. It's our responsibility to make sure those policy actions are integrated into the grid.
What we're seeing now is a transformation where more distributed energy is coming online, whether they be the development of microgrids. Batteries are starting to become a major part of our future.
People are putting solar on their rooftops and getting engaged and thinking about their electricity use and where their electricity comes from.
ISO New England is creating new ways to use weather forecasts, especially wind and solar forecasts, in our daily and our long-term planning. How we prepare for the future will take collaboration.
We really do look to the industry. We look to state governments. We look to policymakers. We look to different community groups.
The ISO is the glue. We hold together very different component pieces.
The way the grid operates today is much more transparent. You can go onto our website and see prices every 5 minutes. You can see projections of what the future is going to look like. The planning process has become very open and public, lots of opportunity for public input.
We'll see a cleaner grid, but we need to make sure it's a reliable grid.
We've got to stay one step ahead of the game to make sure that we continue to distribute that electricity reliably and efficiently. The grid is changing, and so we're changing with that.